Let's go ahead and get you into that next map. And the next map actually will be Acheron Wastes.
All right.
So we will jump right into that, and let's go ahead and start the countdown. That's a good thing about replay casting. You kind of just could bounce right back and forth. No wasted time in these games.
Exactly. Acheron Wastes is not a very strange choice for PoYo, I feel. I know a lot of Terrans really like this map, especially against Zerg, because it's such a typical map for a Terran to just flood units across the map and take cost-efficient trade after trade and just keep the pressure on. And Daybreak, those mutas were pretty easy to get around, do the economic damage. But yeah, do me a favor and introduce these players.
Alright, in the top left of the map, we have our blue Terran player. We did see him fall in game number 1 after securing what we thought was a pretty significant lead. Looking to come back here and take it to game 3. His name is PoYo. In the bottom right, our pink Zerg, using some of his trademark aggression, but ended up winning with a strong later game composition. Representing Team Lowland Lions, his name is Yona.
Yep. It seemed that macro style from Yona, really helped combine with the aggression. I do think that the early engineering bay really threw him off, though. Because usually that heavy Ling aggression tends to start earlier, but I do feel he hit a very nice timing there with that Ling bailing hit. PoYo had just not gotten his wall up yet at the third, which would have helped tremendously in actually fighting that off. So definitely well played there by Yona in this previous game, and I'm curious to see what his chances and his choices for this game will be.
Yep, indeed. And as far as Acheron goes, we've already seen PoYo being a fan of that 3 base and sort of turtle up and the macro up behind that for a bit and then push out sort of style. And Acheron Waste is just one of those maps you can do that quite easily on. The 3rd base is quite easy to take for either Terran or Protoss against pretty much any other race.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a very nice map to macro on, despite it being, sort of it's of course a 2-player map. That doesn't necessarily say anything. Other than that, players will know where they are. They can cheese.
Block again, can't quite get it. He was definitely thinking of blocking that with either the SCV or maybe the eBay again, but does not quite get it. And Yona should feel a bit more comfortable in the early game this time around.
Yeah, this time the game will take a different turn than what we saw in the previous game. Of course, PoYo thrown down his command center now ASAP because he didn't have to invest temporarily 125 minerals into building an engineering bay. And I think that puts him still in his comfort zone, Putting that eBay down gets him a bit of a lead, but it also puts him at risk because it might force some heavy aggression from the Zerg opponent. Yona so far definitely should be feeling comfortable as well because he gets to play out the build the way he wants it to.
Yep, and yeah, I feel like the aggression will also be a bit more refined just because, you get to go with the build that you're used to as opposed to, like, when you don't have that second hatch rate for such a long time, getting early speed's obviously nice, but he didn't really want to use that gas as early as he wanted to. He has a bit more of a build up the drones and then flood the Lings and the Banelings sort of style, I'd imagine. It's a bit more effective when you do it that way around.
PoYo's getting a good scout off. He's probably going to be able to spot that Yona will mine exactly 100 gas from his extractor, which will indicate, of course, the early link speed. I'm saying early, but it's actually pretty standard for high-level Zergs, I feel, to do this, because what are you going to do with the other 100 gas? Yeah, he sees that drones have been pulled out of the extractor, so that's a very clear indication of what Yona is going to do, because he's not going to go one-base lair. Or, this lair this early in the game.
An SV on the run. Lings, I think they will eventually kill us before it gets to his base, but not 100% confident. But I think they should.
They should. Yeah.
They should certainly get him. And yeah, like you were saying, that early Ling speed is just too valuable an asset to have. The map control you get from just having fast Lings and the scouting is just way too good to really to bypass it all. And we will see a bunker on the high ground here, or the middle ground, I suppose, for PoYo. So should be pretty safe in his base from any sort of ridiculously early aggression, we should say.
SSV just barely didn't make it to the bunker to be safe.
Poor guy.
Yeah, poor guy indeed. About the link speed, it's actually a bit of a standard response to Terrans opening Reaper. It's because it allows Terrans who just harass with Reaper to transition into pretty good early game timing with Hellions and Reapers, which are just so effective at taking out links that if you do not have link speed, you will just die right there to the Hellion Reaper composition. PoYo, however, as far as I know, is not a very big fan of that. He prefers to play the heavy macro style, as we can once again clearly see with that third, this very early third command center.
Yes, indeed. And yeah, even building that command center as part of his wall to kind of just help mitigate whatever might come from Yona. So nice little smart decision there to use that, to place the command center there and then float it right over. There are rocks in the way anyway, so might as well just make it here. And yeah, so hopefully we'll see him take out those rocks as well in the near future, and it'll allow him to saturate that base a bit more effectively. And he even can leave this third command center here just to make some mules and make some SCVs if he doesn't feel safe to go ahead and expand as well.
Yeah, his style so far completely identical to what he did in the first game, apart of course from the early engineering bay. He's getting his Hellions out and is now going to establish map control with it. It would be kind of cool for him to send out a Marine or two as well, because he sees there are overlords like center of the map, so those are really easy to catch. Thing is that if Yona decides to make a whole bunch of links and clean those Marines up and save those overlords, then that can be kind of painful, because you want to play a macro style like this and just have the maximum army you can have when you do decide to hit a timing.
Yeah, and against someone like Yona, who's shown that he really wants to get aggressive in that mid game, you really can't throw any units away at all, or else you could be in a really bad situation.
Yeah, Yona spots the double engineering bay in the main of PoYo. This, it's just such a greedy macro-oriented build. Triple orbital command, double eBay, and this is literally the third and fourth actual unit production structures that he's thrown down. He's going to scout around a bit with these 6 Hellions. Should see that there's a third base, and that's going to leave him comfortable. However, keep in mind that Yona did the exact same thing in the previous game and is now producing a whole lot of links.
Yep, nice big flood of lings, 1-1 on the way as well, but looks like he will go across the map to see if he can just find any pick-offs and get anything done, and maybe just look around a bit, but we don't see that Baneling Nest quite yet, and there's a lair on the way, so I don't know, maybe gonna jump right into maybe 2-2 with the Baneling Nest, and maybe some mutas as well. It could be just that Lingbane muta composition that... Oh, actually, hold on a second here. We got full surround in the Hellions, and this is great news for Yona.
Yeah, this is, for PoYo on the other hand, not such great news. Those Hellions are absolutely key in maintaining map control, and he's going to be in defensive posture for, like the coming few minutes, without a doubt, and that's, we do see the Baneling Nest coming. In one way, being in the defensive posture, adding on bunkers might actually be really good, because of the fact that adding on so much more units and so much more defensive means that he will be able to defend the oncoming aggression from Yona more easily. But it's still, not a very comfortable spot to be in, because he's completely lost all ways of scouting what his opponent has, scouting what his opponent is doing. He could be taking a 4, but rather than that, he's adding on a whole bunch of Banelings.
Yeah, and he actually used, he saw this Widowmine burrow at the entrance to the third base, and he saw it do that, so he left one Ling there to absorb that first hit, and just try and basically delay it if he wanted to run in there and try to harass a bit more, but does not go for that. And, well, the rocks aren't quite down, so there's no easy way really into this base. Can try to flood up the middle here. If he's... Oh, he's already set off this middle mine as well, so actually he can go right for this bunker.
Links at the front. Yeah, Marines in there. And wow, there comes the bust, and it's really going to be doing a whole lot of damage. Marines trying to do what they can, but the unit production for PoYo based on this build just isn't there. Yona actually suffered most, throwing away a lot of Banelings at the ramp, but he's just doing so much damage with these links.
Yeah, and this, I mean, he looks really good here. There's a wall in the, there's a hole in the wall where there should be a reactor, and well, free entrance for Banelings is not really what you want to give a Zerg player. More SCVs are sure to fall, and well, things looking absolutely dire, down to 15 SCVs.
Yes.
I mean, this is what happens when Yona gets the time to actually build up the timing that he wants. I mean, before he was delayed by the slow second hatchery. This time, takes 3 bases. And, well, killing those Hellions as well, also, that was a huge, like we were saying, that's a huge part of the army, and you can't afford to lose that when you need everything to defend against something like this.
Yona just not going to take this, he doesn't want to be bullied out of his opponent's base, he just takes the trade. Knowing he can afford to, because his economy is vastly superior. I would be surprised if he doesn't continue to pile on the pressure with these links. Now heading into the third, where there is a whole bunch of juicy mules ready to be taken out.
Yeah, and that's not what you want to see as Terran. You drop a bunch of mules, and then you see 6 Zerglings immediately just run in there and ruin your day. So...
Yeah, it does look like Yona does decide to back out, but not only after killing more than 46 workers, which is absolutely huge. I really don't see PoYo really getting back into this, because this, he's got production infrastructure up, but it's completely useless. He doesn't have the income to actually sustain any significant unit production.
And, I mean, Yona knows he's pretty ahead, so he's taking the 4th base as well. I'd like to see him maybe just go for another big timing, and he's making a fair number of Banelings at his base. I think they're more defensive than anything. And, because, well, we do know that PoYo, he has 3 command centers, so he can rebuild a bit better potentially he's still very far behind, and he's going to have a long way to go, obviously. But
Yeah.
you really don't want to give him a chance to get back in the game, per se, as well. And if you go for something maybe like Mutalisk, which he is, you can basically take advantage of the lead you're already in and just harass your opponent to death, pretty much, at this point. There's no way he can really deal with that.
Yeah, I expect Jona to go for a 2-2 timing here. His 2-2 is almost finished, and he's producing a whole lot of links and banelings. He still has a lot of minerals and gas saved up for Mutalisks, but still, that's pretty much what he wants to go for. I do have to commend him for, he got a perfect scout off with his Overlord. He saw the greed from PoYo, and he did this very simple, very basic move actually, which is to punish it. Just go freaking kill him, as Day9 would say. You don't allow your opponent to take such a lead, especially a Terran, because once that unit flood starts from a Terran, it can be so hard to hold off as a Zerg.
Well, we are going to see an attempted drop from PoYo. We'll fly past an Overlord, I believe. So, well, already a bunch of units here defensively. Gonna be sad news for these Marines as they get blown up immediately. Oh, not quite. Let's just go run away and spike. All right, let's just peace out here. And I mean, there's enough units on the field for Jona that there's no way that these drops really should do any damage. And now we see Spine Crawlers going down in neural lines as well, so he should be pretty safe.
Yeah, we see PoYo trying to rebuild. He's doing actually a fairly good job at it. Consistently producing 3 SCVs at the same time. But it's still a really rough spot in it, and I'm a bit surprised that Jona is letting him up. He has 2-2. He's actually getting +1 for his Mutalisks, and I'm surprised he's going for Mutas, because that's usually more a unit that you would use to do economic damage. Whereas I feel that Jona could have just gone for the kill move at a certain point, but PoYo is going to make it him a lot more difficult with these wall lanes and probably any more defenses that's going to be added on.
Yep, and actually, like you were saying, PoYo catching up, and Mules, they don't do that much, obviously, but, only down by 30 workers at this point in the game is actually not nearly as bad as you would think after seeing what happened earlier. We're just going to try and make it a bit more of a deficit, but going to be forced away by these Marines, and, well, this is a really good map to turtle on 3 bases on, and if, well, we see just attempted harass from Jona, it may not work out quite as well as he would have anticipated.
We almost have 2-2 finished for PoYo. He's got a bit of a decision to make here. Like, does he continue to macro? Does he continue to let his opponent do just whatever he wants? Or is he going to try to use that moment in upgrades to try and do some damage of his own? That is, of course, very difficult, because Jona has a whole bunch of Mutalisks here on the map, which will start taking out SCVs the moment they get the chance to.
Nice little move here, actually taking out parts of the wall, get to rebuild that, and that's going to be annoying for PoYo. Actually a bit supply blocked as well, so that's a little bit unfortunate for him. And well, Jona, he's finishing up that hive. It's almost done now. But when he gets that, he can get that 3-3. He's actually gotten pathogen glands as well, so might see an infestor or two even make their way into the composition here. And he did get flyer attack +1, and he did start it quite a while ago, so I'm not really sure he still wants to commit to these area units, but if he goes for Broodlords, they'll already have that +1 upgrade, so that's pretty nice. But we see PoYo starting to move across the map, trying to deal with some creep, and, well...
This is his entire army, and he pre-splits, anticipating Jona to engage, giving Jona all the time he needs to actually get the perfect engagement off. He's actually pre-splitting a bit with his own, and they're both posturing here in the middle, thinking, come on, make my day. But just looking rawly at the army of what both have, army supply tells a lot of the story. Jona is now completely maxed, going into Altalisk, also getting adrenal glands, and Mutalisks now get their chance, like I mentioned, to pick off as many SCVs as possible.
Bringing the Overseers as well, which is a smart move. Widowmine's pretty good defense, again, static defense against these Mutalisks, so smart move bring those Overseers along. But at the same time, I'm really surprised that Jona didn't try to kill this army in the middle at the same time. These Marines are all in little split up groups, and I feel like he could do pretty significant damage if he catches them off guard, and there's still enough creep that he could engage pretty cost effectively, but there are Widowmines as well, which are very obnoxious to deal with these tightly packed Lings and Banelings.
Yeah, it seems that Jona is very comfortable. He knows he doesn't have to pick an engagement at this point. He just wants to, finish up his perfect composition, get 3-3 upgrades. So he obviously had no, quarrel with letting PoYo get back into the game. And interestingly enough, he might see PoYo get back here on 3-3 upgrades, and quite a good composition. However, against Altalisks, pure Marine medevac Middlemine is not as cost efficient as it could be, especially if you were to add in, a bunch of Marauders.
Yeah, and we saw just how effective that can be, and actually, with that Pathogen Glands upgrade, I don't believe he's actually made an Infestor, but if he made like 1 or 2, just to try and slow some of those Marines down and keep them within Ultralisk range. That'd be a nice little utility unit to have. I mean, Infestors can't be the backbone of your army anymore, as we see a refinery get taken out.
Oh, here we go.
Oh,
Jona gonna move in. PoYo doesn't pre-split though.
We'll get him off creep. A couple Widowmines do burrow, and then we're going to see the pickup, and, well, not going to be able to save all of them. Widowmines do go off. Whoa, that was a really huge hit right there. That killed a lot of units. But at the same time, I mean, the thing is, PoYo, he's stuck on 3 bases, whereas Jona can pretty much, especially after killing enough of those units, he can just expand wherever he wants to at this point in time. He has map control. And 5 bases to 3, and let's look at how many minerals PoYo has left.
Yeah.
Running pretty dry in the main. Natural, similar situation. 3rd base is still decently healthy, but even so, I mean, if he's down to 1 base of economy pretty soon, that's not going to be enough against Jona, who will be on 3 or 4 mining bases still.
Interestingly enough, Jona has 10 links and 50 Mutalisks. So these Mutalisks are actually more than a burden, or nothing else than a burden to him. He should probably just trade them off, actually, for SCPs, and then remax on Ultra Link, Baneling, and try to crush over his opponent, because at this point in the game, I think that's really his best shot.
Yeah, he certainly has the bank to do so as well, with over 6,000 minerals in the bank and almost 2,000 gas. So yeah, certainly he's looking for a big trade right now, and actually the army's just going to circumvent each other a little bit here, it seems. Widowmine will spot it out, but looks like Jona might be able to catch them from the side, from the back here, and well, when you catch them from the back, there's no place to run. But engaging into a choke as well, not the best place to engage with Ultras. And, well, going to do what he can, but these Ultras just do not die to Marines with the Kindness Plating upgrade.
Oh, he tries to pick up, but loses so much stuff in the progress. Meanwhile, the Mutalisks and the Natural are taking out so many more SCPs. PoYo already losing 74 workers in this game so far. And Jona is just going to go for the juggler. He's going to run forward. The wall-up doesn't get completely up, one leaps forward. And this is really the fight for PoYo. He needs to stay alive. Ultra's going through a choke, actually, but still... they managed to simply break through and are crushing this bio force of PoYo.
Yeah, basically it was just kind of like, PoYo gave the illusion of like, Jona let him think he was getting back into it, but at the same time he was just building, like you said, exactly the composition he wanted, getting all the upgrades, adrenal glands, kindness plating, 3-3, and just being ready to engage. And even with the not ideal composition with all those Mutalisks involved, he still takes it pretty convincingly, and a 2-0 series going to Jona.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying PoYo was kind of the favorite because he had already won 2-0 against him. I was also expecting PoYo to expect this playstyle from Jona, since he's very, at least to me, he's very well known for it. You know, this heavy link aggression, doing these link timings, and PoYo he seemed to be a bit, how do you call it, tunnel visioned on his way of play. He just kept his greed, even though he lost early map control and had no idea if an attack was coming or not. In that case, I would personally, throw up an additional bunker just to be a bit more safe, because, well, bunkers, they cost 100 minerals, but they're pretty cheap to recall. So, how much actual cost do you have compared to the, the result you could get from them is, it seems like a pretty easy decision.
Yep, indeed. And let's get this out of here. Okay. And yeah, so. Well, in any case, the series goes to Jona, and this is a bit of a surprise. PoYo seems like the name that more people, at least I know, that I recognize, so very surprising there. And a very interesting playstyle from Zerg, and it's really fun to watch, actually. With just that mid-game aggression, there's really never a dull moment with this guy.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very typical Heart of the Swarm metagame, actually. We saw this is at MLG months ago, where Life, for example, would hit Flash with this exact same timing, in order to kill him before Flash got the upper hand in economy. Just to point out the results of this, though, we are dealing here with the lower bracket finals, unless I'm completely mistaken.
Yep, that's correct.
So that means that Jona will be at the offline finals.
Yes, it does.
And it means that PoYo will not.
That's actually a surprising turn of events. You would not expect that going into it, for sure.
There's every offline event I've been with here in the Netherlands, I'm pretty sure that PoYo has been there. He's won several of these. So there's a bit of a shock for me personally. But yeah, we're going to see Jona there representing his Team Lowland Alliance at the offline event at the DSCL.